Today's scripture is from John chapter 1, verses 10 through 18. The light was in the world, and the world came into being through the light, but the world didn't recognize the light. The light came to his own people, and his own people didn't welcome him. But those who did welcome him, those who believed in his name, he authorized to become God's children, born not from blood, nor from human desire or passion, but born from God. The Word became flesh and made his home among us. We have seen his glory, glory like that of a father's only son, full of grace and truth. John testified about him, crying out, "This is the one of whom I said, 'He who comes after me is greater than me, because he existed before me.' From his fullness we have all received grace upon grace, as the law was given through Moses. So grace and truth came into being through Jesus Christ. No one has ever seen God. God, the only Son, who is at the Father's side, has made God known."
John and Jan, welcome back. Did you hear about all the things that happened while you were gone? Caleb went to ER. A lot of people went to ER. But I wonder if you would all bring out your hands, clap your hands like there's a big celebration, all right? That's for surviving 2025. Great job, guys. Great job. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. In Korean, 새해 복 많이 받으세요. Hope you receive a lot of blessing. As we've completed last year and we enter a new year, just as Mary thought, friends, when, all this time she has no idea how she's going to have this baby. And when she hears the shepherds tell exactly what was going to happen, I bet Mary was there thinking, I don't know if this is right, but I feel like this is where I need to be, Do you often have those feelings where you're not sure what the next step is, but you have some assurance that, yeah, this is where I need to be? Today, the text that we read is a very familiar one. It's also very poetic. It's also very political. It's a very well-known one. And I know it can sound very settled and all done, but it's anything but. Because this is the text that tells us God became enfleshed. I love this. The Word became flesh and dwelt among us. God becomes flesh. The divine didn't stay abstract or distant, okay? But she moved in. She moved into our home. Not just once in a manger, but every time we allow the sacred to meet us in our bodies, in our beliefs, in our needs, in our now. And that is a very radical shift from theologies that we've had. Because if God is really here with us, friends, then God is also changing. If God is in us and meets us in this flesh, then God is also changing, not in essence, but in expression. Not in love, but how that love moves through the body. My go-to author, Octavia Butler from The Parable of the Sower, I mentioned her little quote where she writes, "All that you touch, you change. All that you change, changes you. And the only lasting truth is change, for God is change." This is what incarnation means. God didn't get dropped in history once, but God meets us over and over again in our climate crisis, in our grief, in our insatiable thirst for consumerism and capitalism, all these things, it holds us. And we are very much part of that unfolding. Now, as I was reflecting on last year and the ways that we showed up, sorry, I'm getting a little hot. The ways that you showed up, and I've been thinking about where are we? How are we in this journey? And I think it's the right time for us to ask. You know, we have a collection of folks who are here, and I believe you want to build something that lasts, that isn't something out of hierarchy, but out of shared care, perhaps. Maybe we want a legacy, but it's not a legacy that is based on wealth, but kind of like we were there and we did what we could in that time. I think John says it the best. And too often, even today, there are too many BIPOC, queer, trans, immigrant, disabled, and neurodivergent folks who are told over and over again that they are not included or they're not welcomed in sacred spaces or traditional spaces or temples. And we want to find out, what does it mean for us when we say intergenerational healing? What are we passing down spiritually, emotionally, culturally? What are we passing them down? And we didn't come all this way for nothing. Linda did some digging and was able to find some precious information for me. It was in September 11th of 1955 when the service was first held in the fellowship building. Okay? And then there was purchase of 3 acres. Guess how much per acre then? 4,000. Okay? 4,000 per acre. So 3 acres was purchased, and the service that was held here in the new building was December 1st. I'm sorry, there's 2 different days. September 15th, 1963. Okay? We need to know our history, I think, because if we are a people and if we call ourselves a spiritual oasis where healing is possible, then we want to also be able to see whatever rupture, whatever happened in the past does not have the final say. It didn't end the story. We didn't get through the pandemic. We didn't get through all of that to come here and do nothing. But we are actively changing, and we are molting and shedding actively. And I hope we'll say yes to the change, yes to the relationships that change, and so much around us that changes, where we have outgrown some things that we no longer serve us. I think one of the things that I really want to grow with you this year is coming away from theologies where God, divine, spirit were on a hierarchy, right? Where God is distant. It's always heaven above, and it's always been spirit over body. But that has justified oppression, that has justified extraction and domination. And I think what Jesus really teaches us through our decolonial practices is to come to our presence again, not to trust power, but to trust presence, not to value hierarchy, but to value intimacy. The incarnation tells us a different story, friends. A God who gets small, a God who gets local, God who comes and moves in the neighborhood, God who dwells among us, not in the marble, the marble statues, and it's not God in the higher ups, but God comes here. This is the kind of theology that will decolonize our soul. We'll have a stakeholder gathering of folks who will come together and ask the question for our Vermont Hills. Where are we? How are we showing up? What do we want to build together? What do we want to dream together? Are we creating a community that we want to grow into, that we want to invite others into? And I will tell you that we are not doing this to save the church, but we are trying to become flesh again, to become real. And this is how we begin to build a decolonial future, not with perfect answers, but practicing sacred presence. So I have one final task for you to do before we move into communion. If we are saying yes to the year of change, yes to the uncomfortable changes that come at us, yes to the unfolding, yes to the potlucks and protests, yes to making art and making more space for movement and dancing and singing, yes for more space for vulnerability. How will you make space in your hearts and in your lives? We don't just create space, but we make room, right? And so, I'd like you to think about just for 2 minutes the year of the horse. Year of the horse, right? This is a new year. Mother Earth would tell you. I have it down here. Mother Creation would say, you are the beginning of the new year. You are at the beginning of a new time. At the beginning of a separation from what was. Mother Creation would say, all things will change, all things are changing, and you too are in the process of change. Friends, God doesn't fear change. God moves through it, and God meets us in each context. Meaning God dwells, she dwells in you. Knowing that, how might you create a space? And what will you fill it with this year? What will you say yes to? And on the back of that card, I'd like you to take one idea and write down, what can we say yes to in this church, in this community? What can we say yes to? And for this month, the third Sunday of this month, our intergenerational service, we'll have time to do a vision cast. So there will be more themes along with it. So this won't be the one time and only, but I'd like you to make an intentional note of how you will say yes, making room for your soul to thrive this year. And then also for our community to think about, what can we say yes together to? And when you have that down, you can just fold it and leave it in your pocket somewhere. Do not forget about it. I hope you consciously writing it down creates an etched note in your heart somewhere. I'm not all about, but I am about what it means for us to think first. Anything that manifests comes from thoughts. So what we think first is how we co-create. And so what you think first is so important. It's so important. And with that, friends, I invite us to move into a time of this Holy Communion, the Eucharist table. The words, the liturgy is in your bulletin, if you will read that along with us. The Holy One be with you. Open your hearts to the one who is love. Let us give thanks to God who welcomes the stranger. In wonder of your expansive embrace, we give you praise, O God. Through your radical welcome, you reveal the limitations of our own imaginations. You break down the walls and boundaries we don't even realize we have erected. Like the Magi guided by the light of star through foreign territory, you call us all towards you. You lead us, your people, across borders and hate into lands of curious and different. You strengthen us as we journey, learning and unlearning stories about one another. Gathered in your presence, we come to recognize the gifts of community rich in diversity. Therefore, we join our voices with your people on earth and all the company of the heavens singing praise to you. You move in mysterious way, O God. This journey with you is filled with more questions than answers, and each time we think we have you figured out, you surprise us again, revealing yourself in new ways. In Jesus, we saw your radical welcome of strangers extended in challenging ways, ways that disrupt our traditions and unsettle our comfort zones. Jesus broke religious rules in order to include all people. He lifted up the sacredness of the people in places deemed unclean. He cared more about the well-being of the oppressed than his own reputation. Jesus taught us to rethink your presence among us, but we couldn't accept it. Resistant to transformation, your people sent him to the cross. On the night of his arrest, Jesus shared a meal with his companions. He took bread, blessed it, broke it, and gave it to his disciples and said, "This is my body, which is given for you. Do this in remembrance of me." And after the meal, he took the cup, blessed it, and shared it, saying, "This cup that is poured out is the new covenant. In remembrance of all of you have done to save us, we proclaim the mystery of our faith." May the same Spirit that lifted Christ from the grave be poured out on these gifts. Make this bread and this cup be an extension of your welcome that knows no bounds. Fill us with the courage and the faith to join you in the work of tearing down walls that exclude and pointing to the sacred in the margins. In collective longing for a taste of your kingdom on earth, we join together in echoing the prayer of Jesus. Our Creator, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever.